In this lesson, we're going to be talking about energy. Energy is the ability to change an object or its environment. So if something is going to be different later than it is now, whether it's in terms of its height or if it's moving or if it's changing colors or if it's growing, these all require energy to make that change. Energy is measured in joules. That's the units for energy. And that capital J that you see there in the brackets, that is how we represent joules. The most common type of energy is potential energy. Potential energy is stored energy. One specific type of potential energy that we like to talk about first is gravitational potential energy. And this is energy associated with height. So the higher you get, the more gravitational potential energy you have. If you look at the child in the swing, at point A, that would be our maximum gravitational potential energy. At point B, that would be our minimum or our zero gravitational potential energy. All potential energy has a reference level. That's your zero level. So when the child is at the bottom of the swing, that's known as our reference. At all the points between A and B, you have a different gravitational potential energy based on your height. You can see from the equation PE equals mgh that three variables are going to determine your potential energy: your mass, gravity, and the height. In the video of the trebuchet, what gives it the potential energy is the mass in the bucket. So there's a heavy mass in the bottom of that bucket, a very heavy mass, and as it falls, it swings the lever arm. The lever arm goes down on the heavy end, the lighter end goes up, and this creates a whipping effect for the object to be tossed out of the trebuchet. And this is one way to move something between 2 points, like a catapult. And then you can see the cliff diver. Obviously, the higher he gets up in the cliff, the more potential energy he's going to have. There are other types of potential energy other than gravitational potential energy. We can have elastic potential energy, like Wile E. Coyote. As he compresses that spring, he has elastic potential energy. And the bow and arrow. The bow, as you pull it back, you give elastic potential energy to the string, and that allows it to give energy to the arrow as the energy flies through the sky. Another type of potential energy is chemical potential energy. Gasoline you put in your car or the food that you eat. These are different types of chemical potential energy. This is not the limit of potential energy, just a few examples. Potential energy is the energy stored in an object. Kinetic energy is the energy of motion. This video of this banana exploding shows the energy that the speed and mass of that bullet have. As they collide with the banana, the energy from the mass of the bullet and the speed of the bullet are then transferred into the banana, causing it to explode. Kinetic energy is equal to 1/2 mass times velocity squared. So if you double the velocity, you quadruple the kinetic energy because the velocity is squared. If you double the mass, you double the kinetic energy. So the faster you get something going, the more kinetic energy it's going to have. There are different types of energy besides potential and kinetic. Mechanical energy would be the energy of moving objects or things with moving parts. All of these types of energy have kinetic and potential. They're like kinetic and potential are kind of a subset. So you can see the space shuttle or Michael Phelps or the skier, they're all moving, so they have mechanical energy. A bicycle is a good example of mechanical energy as well. Electrical energy, we're familiar with electrical energy. We use this all the time. If you plug the wall socket in or a battery, lightning, a transformer, all those different things have electrical energy. Now we can take electrical energy and transfer it into mechanical energy and vice versa. You can turn a crank and run a generator or have a generator run a fan. So energy can transfer between different forms. We already talked about chemical energy when we talked about potential energy. Chemical energy is stored energy. And we have pretty much the same examples here: gas, fruit, a battery has stored chemical energy, charcoal for your grill has chemical energy. Radiant energy, or sometimes called solar energy, energy from the sun is radiant energy. Any kind of light gives off radiant energy. A laser beam, a solar panel receives radiant energy and then transfers it into electrical energy. Nuclear energy, the sun runs on nuclear energy. We have an atomic bomb explosion, that's nuclear energy, and then a nuclear power plant. So there's two types of nuclear energy. We have nuclear fusion, like the sun has, where you have a tremendous amount of heat required to have that nuclear energy converted into energy. And then nuclear fission, where you're taking an atom and splitting it in half, and in the act of splitting it, it gives off amount of energy.